Ziad wasn't a prince. He wasn't a lord. Ziad was a blacksmith. He lived in Oakhaven at the foot of the Dragonspire mountains. His days were filled with the clang of hammer on steel. One day, riders arrived with grim news of a dragon, Nightshadow. Nightshadow had stolen the Sunstone, a jewel protecting the land. Ziad knew what he had to do. He would claim his birthright and face the dragon. Ziad entered the old shrine at the edge of the village. The air hung heavy with the scent of damp earth and forgotten prayers. Sunlight filtered through cracks in the stone, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. He stopped before a stone pedestal in the center of the shrine. Upon it lay a sword, unlike any other. The blade of the storm was a thing of beauty and terror. Its blade, forged from Dragonspire steel, shimmered like moonlight on water. Runes etched into the metal pulsed with a faint inner light. The hilt, crafted from polished obsidian, fit perfectly in his hand. He felt the power of the blade surge through him as he grasped the hilt. It was a raw, untamed energy, like the heart of the mountain itself. He drew the sword, and the air crackled with energy. The runes flared, bathing the shrine in an eerie blue light. He was ready. With the blade of the storm in his hand, Ziad felt a surge of confidence. He was no longer just a blacksmith. He was the heir to a legacy of courage and might. He would vanquish Nightshadow and reclaim the Sunstone. He would fulfill his destiny. The Whispering Woods lay at the foot of Dragonspire, a tangled labyrinth of ancient trees and hidden dangers. Sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, casting the forest floor in perpetual twilight. Ziad ventured into the woods, his hand resting on the pommel of the blade of the storm. The forest was alive with sound and movement. Leaves rustled in the unseen breeze. Unidentified creatures scurried through the undergrowth. Ziad pressed onward, his senses alert. He encountered monstrous spiders, their eyes glowing like hot coals in the darkness. He fought off packs of snarling wolf-like beasts with fangs as long as his forearm. He persevered, his resolve hardening with each challenge. He knew that the path to glory was never easy. He would face his fears and overcome any obstacle. He would emerge from the Whispering Woods stronger, ready to face the dragon and reclaim the Sunstone. The fate of Oakhaven depended on it. Emerging from the Whispering Woods, Ziad found himself at the foot of Dragonspire, a towering monolith that pierced the heavens. The mountain slopes were treacherous, riddled with caves and crevasses. The air grew thin and cold, the silence broken only by the wind whistling through the peaks. He began his ascent, his path treacherous and fraught with danger. Rocks tumbled down the slopes, loosened by unseen forces. The wind howled like a banshee, threatening to sweep him off his feet. He soon discovered he was not alone. The mountains were home to giants, creatures of immense size and strength. They towered over him, their skin like granite, their eyes burning with ancient fire. They challenged his right to pass. He grips the blade of the storm, its runes glowing brightly. Towering above him is a giant, its skin like granite, its eyes burning like hot coals. The giant's hand, the size of a small boulder, reaches down towards Ziad. The mountainside looms around them, treacherous and unforgiving. Ziad stood before a cave hidden high in the Dragonspire mountains. The entrance, veiled in mist, pulsed with an ethereal blue light. This was the Lair of the Oracle, a being of immense power and wisdom, said to possess knowledge of the past, present, and future. Braving the mountain's perils, Ziad sought her guidance. As he entered the cave, the air grew heavy with the scent of ozone and ancient magic. The Oracle, sitting upon a throne of crystal and wreathed in shadows, spoke in a voice like the whisper of the wind through the peaks. She revealed Ziad's destiny, confirming what he already knew in his heart. He was the last of the Stormguards, the only one capable of wielding the blade of the storm. His destiny was to face Nightshadow and reclaim the Sunstone. But her vision also unveiled a terrible truth. The dragon was not the true enemy. A power far more ancient and insidious was manipulating events from the shadows. Ziad would face not one battle, but two, with the fate of Oakhaven, the fate of the world, hanging in the balance. Changed by the Oracle's words, Ziad emerged from the cave, her chilling premonition echoing in his mind. He was no longer just fighting a dragon, he was facing an ancient evil that could shroud the world in darkness. His resolve, already strong, hardened into steel. He continued his ascent, the peak of Dragonspire looming above. Despite the thin air and biting cold, his determination burned brighter. He would not be deterred. He would reach the dragon's lair and reclaim the Sunstone. As night fell, he found himself on a narrow ledge, the wind whipping at his cloak. Below, the world stretched out like a dark tapestry, dotted with the lights of distant villages. Knowing he could not continue on foot, he closed his eyes, focusing his will. He channeled the power of the Blade of the Storm, the energy of the mountain itself, into a single desperate plea. He needed to fly. And then, with a rush of power and a deafening roar, the mountain answered. The dragon's lair was a cavern of fire and shadow. Molten rivers snaked across the cavern floor, their glow reflecting off the jagged walls. The air hung heavy with the stench of sulfur and the dragon's musk. Ziad stepped cautiously into the lair, the Blade of the Storm held ready. He could feel the dragon's presence, a suffocating aura of power and malice. He moved through the cavern, his senses alert, every muscle tensed. He had come too far to fail now. He would face Nightshadow and reclaim the Sunstone. The cavern opened into a vast chamber, the heart of the dragon's lair. In the center, upon a mound of gold and jewels, lay Nightshadow. The dragon was a creature of nightmare, its scales black as obsidian, its eyes burning embers in the darkness. The Sunstone, a fist-sized jewel that pulsed with a gentle golden light, lay near the dragon's claws. It was the source of the dragon's power, the key to its defeat. Ziad had to get to the Sunstone, but to do so, he would have to face the dragon's wrath. Nightshadow rose from its hoard, a towering behemoth of scales and fury. Its eyes, burning embers in the darkness, fixed upon Ziad. The air crackled with energy, the very air seeming to recoil from the dragon's presence. The battle was joined. The dragon unleashed a torrent of fire, washing over Ziad in a wave of searing heat. Ziad raised the Blade of the Storm, the runes flaring to life, deflecting the flames. He would not fall here. He would not be consumed by the dragon's fire. He would fight. The cavern echoed with the clang of steel on scales, the roar of the dragon, the crackle of magical energy. Ziad fought with the fury of a cornered wolf, the strength of the mountain flowing through his veins. He parried each attack, countered each blow, never yielding. Ziad knew that he could not defeat Nightshadow through brute force alone. The dragon was too powerful. He had to be clever, to use the dragon's strength against it. He had to fight not just with muscle and steel, but with wit and cunning. Ziad, wounded but not broken, stood over the fallen dragon, the Blade of the Storm still clutched tightly in his hand. The cavern echoed with the dragon's death throes, the air thick with the scent of ozone and burnt flesh. He had faced his fears, overcome incredible odds, and emerged victorious. He retrieved the Sunstone, a fist-sized jewel that pulsed with a gentle golden light. As he held it, he felt its warmth spread through him, pushing back the darkness, filling him with newfound strength. He would return to Oakhaven, a hero, the Sunstone his trophy. He returned to Oakhaven, hailed as a hero. The villagers cheered, their faces filled with relief and awe. He had slain the dragon, reclaimed the Sunstone, saved them from darkness. But Ziad knew that his journey was far from over. The oracle's words echoed in his mind. A power far more ancient and insidious manipulates events from the shadows. He knew that the fight was not over. He had won a battle, but the war for their world was just beginning. Peace returned to Oakhaven. The Sunstone, returned to its rightful place, bathed the village in a warm, golden light. The crops flourished, the people prospered, and the darkness that had threatened to consume them receded. Ziad, once a simple blacksmith, was now their protector, their champion. He knew that his respite would be short-lived. The oracle's warning echoed in his mind. He trained tirelessly, honing his skills, mastering the power of the Blade of the Storm. He would be ready when the time came. He would face the true enemy, the ancient evil that lurked in the shadows. He became a symbol of hope, a beacon of light against the encroaching darkness. He was the heir to the Stormguards, their legacy reborn in him. He would protect his people, his land, from whatever threats lay ahead. He was Ziad, the dragon slayer, and his legend was only just beginning.